Hey there, and welcome to the Inner King podcast. They say the best way to start is to simply start. So rather than waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect backdrop, the perfect lighting, the perfect inspiration, here I am coming off of a bad case of pneumonia, recovering and healing, and using all of my tools to muster my courage and confidence to look you in the eye and say, welcome to this new podcast. The Inner King podcast is here to explore the archetype, to explore the utility of this romantic notion of the king. When I say king, I'm not talking about the despot, the dictator that master of all he surveys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm talking about the inner king inside you, inside me, inside every man, and whether the archetype is still valuable in a modern world. I happen to be of the generation, I think they call it Generation Jones, sort of in between baby boomer and Gen X, and caught the tail end of all of these romantic notions, movies like First Night and Name of the Rose, and Sean Connery and Richard Gere and Richard Harris, all these great actors who embodied the archetype of king in all sorts of different ways, the good, the bad, the ugly, and most recently, probably even depicted in the movie Dragonheart with Sean Connery and Dennis Quaid. And in my book, The King's Codes, and I encourage you, it's absolutely free. You can download it for yourself, kingscodes.com, and you can listen to the audiobook. Excuse me, you can read the text. There are 12 codes that I've channeled through me in meditation that I feel exemplify what the archetype has to offer the man in the modern world. I invite you to explore that, to digest it, to really try it on for yourself, and bring your questions here. Questions, comments. So make sure you like and subscribe and really stay engaged in this conversation. I happen to believe that the king archetype has a lot to offer the modern man, whether you're in your 20s or whether you're in your 70s or anywhere in between. And so let's get into it. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I have been an executive coach for over 30 years. I sort of fell into it as an offshoot of my law practice and consulting business, started working with groups of salespeople, and then realized I had a knack for helping people really tap in to something inside themselves, finding that thing I like to call that thing you can't not do. And so in my coaching practice, I've explored this with men and women and everything in between, for performing artists, for salespeople, for entrepreneurs, for people who really know that there's a purpose inside themselves, and it could be you. So that's why I'm inviting you into this conversation. That my wife, Tracy Trottenberg, Kansas, and I, over the past decade or so, excuse me, have really been exploring what it means to find that message inside yourself, to express that authentically, and really give yourself permission to be fully you. And nowhere have I found that come to such a sharp point in the heart of the modern man. The wrestling we do, the permission we have to give ourselves to be fully expressed, the permission we have to give ourselves to occupy our space, to be in our authentic power, without feeling in the modern world like we're threatening someone, and without actually threatening someone's safety or sovereignty or well-being. And so that how can we be fully in our power, and how can we be fully expressed at the same time? And so I'm excited to explore this with you here in this podcast. My hope is to share my thoughts, to have guests and conversations that inspire, awaken, stimulate, debate, all of it. So I'll share with you the concept of the inner king, as I said, sharing what it's like, or why it's important even that men in the modern world today allow ourselves to wake the inner king, to embrace him, including all of the judgments, all of the shame, all of the blame that comes up, take responsibility for that and start cleaning that up. And then moving forward, how to embody him fully. Again, being fully expressed and being, in my case, all I want to do, all my purpose on this planet is to fan the flames for people to be in their authentic self-expression. And so to do that, obviously without harming anyone, but also to be fully embodied in that. So how can I be fully embodied that and serve my purpose fully of fanning other people's flames? Because I've seen, and we've all seen examples of somebody being fully in their power or appearing to be fully in their power and squashing everyone around them, which I believe is an indicator that they're not actually fully in your power. So the invitation is to explore, how can we actually be fully in our power and be fully in our purpose at the same time? And wouldn't that be a great way to live? So that's what Waking the Inner King is all about. And that's what this podcast is going to be all about. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. Grateful that you're here. So that's the concept of the inner king. It's a little bit about my background as a coach, as a speaker, as an author. I'm also a 2-time cancer survivor. Excuse me. I've recovered from a rare form of leukemia. I'm fully in remission now. I'm healthy 100%. Although, like I said, just coming off of a case of pneumonia, which is something I never had. Very scary, very inconvenient. But other than that, perfectly healthy. I've run marathons and competed in triathlons, sprint distance triathlons, and all sorts of things to raise money and awareness for cancer survivors. Done men's work with veterans, combat veterans, and prostate cancer survivors. I've worked with breast cancer survivors and survivor audiences of all shapes and sizes over the past 20 years. And really, my exploration has been bringing in all of these disparate, different philosophies and bodies of work and wisdom traditions to try to make sense of what it means to be a man in the modern world, what it means to hold ourselves and others, what it means, particularly in my case, studying the science and the craft of creating the conditions necessary for someone to have a personal transformation. And we're going to explore that here too. So take a breath, really ground in, because what I'm excited to share with you is this idea of the King's Codes. They're also, I understand them as the 12 epic virtues. And when I say epic, I mean embodying purpose and integrating consciousness, epic as an acronym. And it happens also to be the name of my coaching program, but it really means it lives in my heart as something that is aspirational. These 12 virtues, as I have experienced them, came to me in a meditation. They're not new, excuse me, they're not new ideas, but they landed for me that this idea of being a king and embodying a king is not just a romantic notion. And we'll definitely have conversations that explore the utility of this archetype nowadays. For sure, I'm open to that. And I also feel like it lives in my heart as a romantic notion, as something that's aspirational, as something that's really real magic happens when a man is fully in his king. You know, I have these examples in my life, and I don't know if you do, check in for yourself. 2 men in particular, my father and a man in my life, I call him my Dutch uncle, Rich. He was my father's best friend when I was a child. And I saw these 2 men who loved each other and who had each other's back and supported and encouraged each other. They teased each other. They made each other better by being authentically one another and one another for each other, if that makes sense. And I had the blessing of seeing that modeled for me. And so as I grew up, I created friendships like that. And I'm blessed to say that I have many men in my life whom for whom we play that role for each other. And what I mean by that is we call each other up, we challenge each other, and we fan each other's flames. And I think that is a really great way to live. And I love supporting men in creating those relationships for themselves. And I also love supporting the spaces where those relationships can develop. And so we do live events and retreats and stuff like that. So my point of sharing this with you is that if that resonates for you as aspirational, like, yeah, I'd really love to have relationships like that in my life, or I'd really love to be that for the people in my life, or I'd really love to experience more of that, then I think you'll enjoy the exploration of these virtues and what it means to be that in the modern world. And again, I'm going to dispense with the bells and whistles. I'm here in this room with a plain background, nothing fancy. And I'm sure this will evolve. But rather than wait for the perfect moment, I feel like it's more important to start the conversation. And since that's ostensibly, I'm an expert in the world in leadership and conscious communications, it makes sense for me to start the conversation even without it being perfect. Here in my t-shirt, here in this room where the lighting is okay, and we're just, here we go. So the journey ahead, I want to share with you a little bit more about these 12 virtues, these King's Codes, as I shared. You can absolutely download them and read them for yourself. And over the course of this podcast, I hope to share all of those virtues with you. I think these first dozen or so episodes will be talking about those. And so the first one is really about the infinite nature of the universe in a way. I am a part of an infinite whole. I am a part of an infinite whole. I am an integral part of an infinite whole. To me, this summarizes the mystery of life, the mystery of the universe, the mystery of existence, and has helped me understand my place in the world, both its enormity and significance and its insignificance and puniness. And so being an infinite part of an infinite whole, or an integral part of an infinite whole, for me has helped me find peace, has helped me find peace in those moments when the terror of my own non-existence, death, etc., can overtake me. I don't know if you had that experience where you have this moment where you're like, holy shit, I'm going to die. There's going to be a day when I don't exist. And all of that rushes in. When that happens, and it happens occasionally, usually at night, usually when the lights are down and when I'm alone, and I think to myself, whoa, that's true. And at the same time, I remember I'm an integral part of an infinite whole, which means that even if I don't exist, my energy, quantum physics shows us, being infinite, will always be a part of that consciousness. Now, will people remember my name? Probably not. Can I do anything about it? Absolutely not. I mean, I can write books and I can publish and I can speak and I can do all that stuff, but the long and short of it is, in 1,000 years, nope. In 2,000 years, nope. 5,000 years, nope. Think about, we remember a couple names from a couple thousand years ago. We remember Christ. We remember Alexander the Great. We remember Genghis Khan. We remember people's names, but does it really matter? Anyhow, so just that one example, I'm an integral part of an infinite whole, helps me figure out a little bit more about my place in the world and helps me focus on what's important, creating experiences that are meaningful for me and the people I care about. So that's just one example. There are 12 of them, and we'll explore all of them. And in the book, of course, there are 36 other behaviors that in my estimation, in my experience of coaching men for 30 years, has really made a difference. Okay, so we're going to keep moving on. That's the specific virtue that I wanted to explore today. The first code, the first virtue, I am an integral part of an infinite whole. I invite you to try that on for yourself. Feel into that. Is it meaningful? Is it helpful? Is it annoying? It's all good. Share in the comments. And again, like and subscribe so you can stay a part of this conversation. And if you have something to add to the conversation, Put it in the comment. Reach out to me, gpk@amazinginternational.org. And maybe we'll have a conversation. Maybe you can be on the podcast. Maybe we can share something that broadens and deepens the conversation. This being the first episode, I'm going to be all over the place. I hope you'll stay with it. I think that the codes will provide a really potent framework for this conversation ongoingly. And I'm hoping and counting on the dialogue being robust and sincere. Okay, so future episodes, we're going to go into the archetype a little more. We're going to go into the King's Codes of the 12 virtues a little more, one at a time over the next dozen episodes. And then we will, my hope is to introduce you to some amazing friends of mine, people who are in this conversation and others that deepen us and expand us as men. And so I invite you to stay tuned. Again, like and subscribe, and that'll take care of that, I guess. I'm not an expert on YouTube, but we'll figure it out together. So that's really what my invitation is for today, is to sit with this first code, this first virtue, this first perspective about our place in the universe. I am an integral part of an infinite whole. What does that mean to you? Like and subscribe and share what that means to you authentically, sincerely. Don't be a dick. Don't take a shot at somebody or me just because it makes you feel better. Just leave that shit at home. Don't bring that weak ass shit. Bring your authentic expression. Bring your opinion. Absolutely welcome. Just don't take digs. Let's not do that at each other. What's the point of that? I'm here to fan your flames. I'm going to assume you're here to fan mine. And if you don't want to, fuck off. It's okay. I don't take it personally. Just don't take a shot at me for no point, or anybody else for that matter. Like, if you don't want to be involved in somebody's conversation, if it doesn't resonate for you, totally your prerogative. Knock yourself out. Don't take crackpot shots at people just because it makes you feel better about yourself. That's not really cool or fair. So my invitation is to authentically, for yourself, don't believe anything because I say it. Believe it because it makes sense for you. So try it on. I am an integral part of an infinite whole. What does that mean for you? Whole, WHOLE, by the way, if you hadn't figured that out. Really feel into that. What does it mean to you? Does it cause you to feel a sense of peace? Does it ease any of that existential panic that you might experience? Do you experience that existential panic occasionally? What conditions bring that on? I know, as a grandfather, as a cancer survivor, as a husband, I've been in moments where I feel so grateful for everything I have in my life, the abundance, the experiences, the beautiful people, that I feel this sense of, oh my gosh, there's so much to lose. But at the same time, it's deeply gratifying to hold my grandchildren or hold my wife or be on stage with my wife and be on purpose with my partner, all these things. And I feel great gratification at that. And so being an integral part of an infinite whole helps me keep things in perspective, again, so I can focus on doing what I'm here to do for the people I care most about. And that includes you, that includes this community, that includes this conversation that I'm excited to do my part to move along and move forward and deepen and broaden. So I'll leave you with this. Download your copy of the King's Codes. Listen to the audiobook if you're so inspired. It's fun. I had the AI do that, and I think that's really interesting. And join the conversation. Make a comment. Stay tuned, and there'll be more of this to come. So the next episode, we'll get into one of the other King's Codes, and I look forward to you being a part of the conversation. Thanks again for being here. In the meantime, yeah, let's do your best. Be kind. See you out there. Bye for now. This has been a production of Amazing Media International. AMI, The Deeper Conversation.